Our next comedian is our wonderful director who's kicking off his latest tour, Please Stop the Ride, in Boston, Seattle, and Walla Walla, Washington. And his special, The Old Man in the Pool, is streaming now on Netflix. Let's take a look.
There was this sign growing up that said, please shower before entering the pool, and I feel like that was written for one guy. You know what I mean? Like, I think the first draft of that one said, Greg?
Please welcome back to the show our very good friend, Mike Birbiglia! How are you?
I'm good.
Wonderful to be here.
Great to see you.
I'm very excited about the tour.
Thanks.
One of the first stops is Walla Walla, Washington, which has
Absurd.
great historical significance to you.
I have a personal story that occurred in Walla Walla, Washington, almost 20 years ago, which is, people think I'm making this up, but I jumped through a second-story window sleepwalking.
Yeah.
Of a true story of a La Quinta Inn. So this is sort of
They have that problem a lot at La Quinta.
So this is sort of an ad. No, it's no, true story. Some people correct me. They go, no, it's when I say La Quinta, they go, no, it's La Quinta. I'm like, you can't force me to speak Spanish. I didn't press 2 or whatever. But so, no, 20 years ago, I jumped through La Quinta in
And this was,
window.
which was then made famous. You did a
movie.
special, a movie, Sleepwalk with Me, which is wonderful.
And then, and so I'm going back to Walla Walla. I haven't been there, so I was like, I researched theaters, and there's this beautiful place called the Powerhouse Theater, and I'm doing a couple shows, and I'm gonna bring a camera and film myself, like going back to the motel room. I found out, true story, and so I called to rent the room because we actually put up a plaque next to the room.
This is also a true story.
This is true.
So you just sent this to the La Quinta Inn.
Yeah, so it says, in this room, on January 26, 2005, comedian Mike Birbiglia sleepwalked out the window. That story became the basis for a book and feature film, Sleepwalk with Me. Seriously, Google it. And that's real. And sometimes people go, fans of mine will make the trip to Walla Walla, and they'll stay in the room, which is like the weirdest attraction ever.
I can't believe they put it up. It's really, I think that's a real honor that they were like, I guess they probably almost never get a plaque sent.
Well, that's the thing. You can make plaques, you can make trophies.
Yeah.
I mean, my new special, Old Man in the Pool, is up for a Critics' Choice Award in January.
Yeah.
And no, I'm not gonna win, but I'm gonna make myself a plaque afterwards.
Why not, right? Why
Put a
not?
plaque up. No one's gonna contest that.
It's not like the plaque makers are like, but did you?
But did you? We're gonna have to see some paperwork.
There's some integrity in the plaque industry.
No, and so I'm going back, and I called the La Quinta Inn, and I say, hey, I'd like to rent this room, and then it's not a La Quinta Inn anymore. Okay. They're like, that's not this motel. That's another motel. They said I think that's a Comfort Inn now.
Okay.
So I call the Comfort Inn. I go, hey, I jumped through the second-story window. I go, I believe there's a plaque on the wall. They go, no, that's the Quality Inn.
Wow.
I call the Quality Inn. True story. I call the Quality Inn. I go, I'm Mike Birbiglia. I believe there's a plaque on the wall of me. They say, oh yes, there it is. I go, I'd like to rent that room. And the guy goes, could you hold? I'm gonna talk to my manager for a second. True story. And I'm like, oh, okay, I'm gonna talk to the manager. They're gonna roll out the red carpet the way we all know the Quality Inn does.
Step 1, I think they're gonna have to go buy a red carpet.
Step 2, the carpet is already red from the blood.
You're about to stay there, Mike.
So the manager comes, he goes, I gotta talk to my manager. I'm thinking it's gonna be a big deal, like they're gonna make something. Comes back, he goes, great news. We're gonna give you 10% off the room.
Wow. That's quality.
So the lesson here, if you want 10% off your room at Quality Inn, You need to either join Quality Inn Rewards or jump through their second-story window.
Yeah.
And then you get the red carpet.
Then you get the red carpet.
God knows how it became red.
I just like at some point, I feel like all the Walla Walla hotels were calling around being like, just FYI, there's a weird guy.
I know.
He's just calling up saying he sent a plaque.
It's such a bizarre, I mean, it truly is like one of the more bizarre things you could imagine occurring.
I know, but it's all by your hand. Like, you're talking about it like they were weird.
Right.
Like, you're the guy who, 1, walked out the window, 2, sent a plaque, and then 3 were calling around like you were the king of hotels.
No, you know what's great about it, too, is I told this story recently, and I'm going to tell it in Walla Walla, but I always tell the story. I go, I jumped through the window, I'm bleeding, you know, I'm in my underwear. I'm like, I need to walk to the front desk and explain what happened. I walked up to the front desk, and I go, fortunately, it wasn't the smartest person I've ever encountered. And I feel like he might have felt that way about me as well.
Sure. Yeah.
And but I'm going back. I'm actually gonna try to find the desk clerk. He messaged me on Instagram at one point. I'm gonna try to find the doctor who put stitches in my legs, who also like reached out. Everybody, it's a community.
Yeah. I bet they all remember it.
Every 20 years, no, it's the first time we're all getting the team back together. We're gonna reenact it.
Yeah.
You know.
Speaking of doctors, Old Man in the Pool, which is wonderful.
Yeah, thanks so much.
And I saw it live, and now it's on Netflix.
You brought your mom.
I did. I brought my mom and my brother. We loved it. You talk about a doctor basically says you should start swimming, and that's the story. But your actual doctor came and saw the show.
First of all, my doctor came. First of all, this morning. This is how unintimidating I am as a celebrity. No one ever is intimidated to be like, we shouldn't go up and say hi to him. It might go badly. Literally, someone today goes, hey, I haven't seen you at the YMCA pool lately. I'm like, I don't know you. How are you this? How are you this? I'm just...
Yeah.
I think people view me like a wild animal. They're like, it's more afraid of you than you are of it. Like, you know, the walrus is around. You can talk to him. You know what I mean? No, but my doctor came, which is great. I have a great doctor, and I'm really lucky. But she did, like, after she saw the show, I talk about how I had bladder cancer, type 2 diabetes, I sleepwalked through a second-story window. After she saw the show, she was, I think, much more concerned during our visits. Yeah. Because I think when you see it in a 1-hour format, it's like I'm performing my chart.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Nobody usually gets a Netflix special about their maladies.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right. When you see it on a clipboard as a doctor, you're like, I can deal with all this. And then you see it on a Netflix special, you're like, I think this guy's a lost cause.
And I think I had the ultimate call out about doctor's offices, which is I stepped on the scale when I went to my doctor recently, and it's still the old-fashioned abacus thing. Like, you're not 1,000 pounds, you're not 0 pounds, you're not 970 pounds, you're not 21 pounds, you're not 650 pounds, you're not 111 pounds. I'm like, what time is it? You know? She's like, it's not 2 o'clock, it's not 6 o'clock, it's not 2:15, it's not 4:45. I don't know why they still have those.
It's the best.
That's.
I wanted to ask real quick, because I feel like we are both blessed with very honest wives. Yes. I think your wife, Jen, you've been married 15 years. I think she's very good with feedback. Is that accurate?
She's amazing.
And, you know, I think that sometimes it's mostly upside to have an honest wife, but, like, sometimes, you know.
I think it's all dynamics, right? Like, so we've been married 15 years. I think one of the upsides of marriage is communication. So, like, you just have to, there's so little you have to say words-wise to convey an idea. Like, our friend Mulaney a few years ago was like, hey, I'm going skydiving for my birthday. Do you want to come? And I was like, that sounds amazing. I'd never thought of doing that in my life. And I went back to Jen and I relayed this conversation to her. And she said, you gonna do that? And that's when I realized I wasn't gonna do that. Yeah. I said, no way. Why would I wanna do an activity that seems so dangerous yet so fun? Because ultimately, I'm more afraid of my wife's judgment of me than I am of jumping out of an airplane at 30,000 feet. Because both activities are dangerous, but at the end of one of them, you get to die.
Yeah. I'm very excited about this. You grew up in Massachusetts. You're doing 10 shows.
At the Wilbur.
At the Wilbur, one of the great stand-up theaters in
Amazing.
America. 10 shows in a row in Boston. That must just be so exciting.
10 shows in Boston, my hometown. We were calling it Christmas Parmesan, because in my family, we didn't do a very religious Christmas. If anything, the theme was just chicken Parmesan.
Well, it's very exciting for the people of Boston. You're going to be there. You guys, that's Mike Birbiglia, the old man of the pool, streaming